All right, let's go. Our
Also,
Halloween
I'm
heroes.
a little amused that we thought Xane's silhouette was for a woman because of the long nails, even though that's just his gloves.
Or a beast.
Yeah,
that's
True.
that throws me off so much now that I look at it. But he is pretty cute. All right. Anyways, here's our new heroes. Fall Vessel Robin, Harvest Godoin. Nice. They
That
put it.
pun is awful.
Yeah.
Fall Vessel, I hate it.
Harmonic Tiki, Autumn Trickster, Xane, Autumn Tactician, Ena. They have 2 Autumn titles. All right, great. Okay. Real quick scan. I see pretty expected. Wow, pretty expected pretty. Hey, you actually got 2 of the numbers right. It's 30 attack, 30 res.
Close enough.
Close enough.
I mean, it literally was just 4 speed for 5 defense.
All right, so let's start our first hero, Fall Vessel Robin, and let's just be frank. Oh boy, it is as everyone expected. She's well, not everyone expected, but as we expected, she's basically
This shames legendary Grima out of existence, basically.
shames legendary Grima out of existence. Well, kind of. There's no speed, but that now it makes sense why there's no speed. Shames both Grima out of existence is what I would actually say.
Ironic.
Yeah.
You know, this is a male Grima stat line on female Grima, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, same color as male Grima, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Originally, we thought it was just legendary Grima getting power creeped out. Now it's just both Grimas getting power creeped out.
Pretty much. Only a couple of small things you could really do with female Grima, like legendary Grima, mostly in player phase. Ouch.
Yeah. Also, this is an armor stat line on a flyer.
Relatively.
Wait, what total is this?
172. So to start out, not legendary. Halloween Grima female is a 172 BST Green Dragon Flyer with HP Speed Super Banes and Attack Res Super Boons.
Attack res super. Okay.
The res one's pretty sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, that gets her 42 res, and with all her skills already. Which, let's give a quick refresher on. Skills?
Yeah, I'll be honest, it's hard to remember them.
Yeah, the skills are
is-
getting long nowadays.
Her A slot
Yeah.
is ridiculous.
Yes.
Her
Uh,
A slot is basically another weapon.
Yes.
Right. So if I'm not mistaken, her weapon is what now? Moonlight Breath? Or something like
Moonless breath.
that?
Moonlight
Moonless. Close enough.
Yep.
Distant counter, and then also if within 2 spaces of an ally, right?
Healing 30% of max HP anytime a
special.
special goes off.
Right. So kind of similar to Claude, but instead of having efficiency, it's just 1, and instead of 50%, it's 30. But then you get distant counter as your consolation.
Right. She comes with
And then-
noontime, and then everything makes sense once you see Dragon Scale, which neutralizes effective against flying foe bonuses, and if unit is over, well, if unit's attacking a hero that's over 100% or 100% HP, or they're attacking her, she gets attack res -6 on them and special cooldown charge +1 per foe's attack.
Yeah, so basically, she accelerates with special on foes hits and has that attack res penalty if the foe initiates or if the foe is at full health. So she can initiate into a healthy foe, which is
She's-
really weird for an A slot.
Yeah, she's kind of combining what Brave Dimitri and Brave Claude are able to do into her kit, which is just with her weapon and A skill, by the way.
Yeah. I don't know how that happened, but yeah, that's basically how it is.
The other thing
And
is,
then her B slot, of course,
Yep.
Dragon's Ire, is null follow. Is quick riposte to 50%. Probably only inheritable dragons. I think it's just inheritable on all dragons.
yeah,
And if foe initiates combat against them, neutralizes skills that prevent units follow-up, and unit makes a follow-up attack if they're at 50% or higher. So she has half of no follow-up with QR in enemy phase.
yeah.
The half that stops her follow-ups from being denied.
Well, but I will say Robin is actually pretty close to a dual phase hero because her attack is so high, because Dragon Scale and Moonless Breath works on both phases, so.
Yep. She can't double in player phase, granted, but she
Right.
still has 56 base attack, 60 at plus, and then you consider her A slot at 66 attack. Not bad.
Not bad. She can probably pull it off on certain heroes, blue heroes especially. And then of course she has gold dragons, but that's kind of sleeper and it doesn't really matter.
Still 5-star lock though.
Okay, who cares? Yeah. Okay, so immediately looking at the stat spread, this is super min-max. 17 speed. A lot of heroes nowadays are super. Wait a second, I just looked to the right side.
Yeah, not as min-max as somebody else.
Still,
that somebody else is also an armor unit.
Yep. Yep. So, yeah, the big thing for me is there really is no reason for either Grimas anymore. You can argue colors offering something, but with the skills being much better and the stats being much better, I don't really see a point. If I were to build Fell Vessel, well, calling her Fall Vessel, Fell Vessel,
Halloween
this sucks.
Grima.
Yes, Halloween Grima. Let's just call her that. God damn, that bad puns. Attack Res Ring for C, and I think you're done. That's
really
it. That's really the only thing that would need to change to optimize her.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Like, this is stupid.
It is.
At least it's not a full kit for most people.
It's not 100% a full kit, but still.
That's still pretty insane. Granted, we're not in a meta that favors enemy phase as much, in especially defense teams, so I don't think that Grima is going to be a huge pressure for a lot of people.
Yeah,
Not
but a
for
lot of
defense
people.
teams,
She'll be a
but
super
for
tank.
offense teams. She's gonna tank like nothing else.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. In an offense team, you're pretty much looking at one of the best tanks we have.
Yep. One of the best tanks we have, and she moves really well. She's incredibly min-max, which reminds me of Mila, by the way. And yeah, she's a flyer. That's huge. Movement is really king in a lot of situations, and she doesn't count as a flyer, so you don't do extra damage on her. She is still a dragon, so you can kill her as a Falchion user, but at 37 defense and dragon skill, making it even more difficult with Moonless Breath and Noontime there as well for some healing. Not free to kill her.
Yeah. HP's a little low, but you'll probably have to two-shot if you're not a good Falchion user.
The one thing I didn't expect was her to have more res than defense, though it's almost identical, but if you go plus res at Super Boon, 43 res, she's actually going to rip mages apart.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened because Grima's never had that. In fact, I don't even think Robin's ever had more res than defense. It's always defense over res.
Right, so that's the surprising part.
Yeah, this is a new thing for Robin in general.
Yeah. Which, of course, I think that the one thing that we all want to know, how does she fare up as against the Grimas?
I have stats pulled up for
As do I.
both Grimas.
For both Grimas.
Yeah, let's start
Which
with
one do you want to
start?
do first, Legion?
male because they're both greens.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can do that one.
All right. So for Fallen Male Robin, well, Halloween Grima has 8 less HP. They have equal attack. He has 7 more speed, 2 less defense, and 11 less res. With only
11.
2 more BST. So almost all of that like almost everything went away from res and into speed and HP.
Yeah, Male Grima was not as min-max as some might want him to be. It was at his time, but
Yeah.
now that we're accepting the 16 speed for min-maxing, Male Grima kind of lost it. Not
Yeah,
to
that
mention,
24 speed is kind of a waste.
it is a very... I mean, you can... Like, for example, I've been running Speed Res Solo Grima recently in Hall of Force, and you can push him to the point where armors don't double him, but you're in a bit of a weird spot to want to use speed on Grima.
Yeah.
And of course, HP is king, but when you only have 27 res, Male Grima's armored HP of 48 is exactly that great, is it?
Yeah, it doesn't actually matter.
And of course, if you look at them both, they both have 50% range QRs. It's just like female Grima has no follow-up and he has accelerated cooldown, which
Right.
doesn't even matter because of Dragon Scale.
Right.
Yeah, Dragon Scale is kind of busted as an A skill.
Yep. So unless you're caring about that 8 AD, unless we see refineries coming up for distant counter weapons, there's no reason not to just go for female Grima.
We're at a point where
Halloween.
we're at a point where base DC weapons not having a refine has no excuse anymore.
It's gonna happen soon. They're waiting.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, for those who want it, female Grima, the legendary version of it, not exactly as good a comparison, but she has equal HP to legendary Grima. Halloween Grima has 8 more attack. That's what now? 18 less speed. Woo. 7 more defense and 13 more res. 10 more BST. Now, of course, you have to consider female Grima is colorless. This one is green. But other than that, this one is an infinitely better mixed tank and offensive unit. Female Grima legendary isn't exactly that good of an attacker. This one is a nuke. Unless you're going for that 35 speed on legendary female Grima, there's no reason at all. Honestly.
And I actually have one more comparison that's quite apt.
Do tell.
Mila.
Yeah, that's the one that came to me immediately because the attack, defense, res. Go ahead.
Yep. So Mila has 1 more HP, 3 less attack, equal speed, 3 more defense, and 1 less res.
Wow, that is very, very close.
They
be about
have
the same BST.
identical BST.
1 generation, 5 dragon flowers, but wow, that's closer than I thought.
Now, granted, Mila is a more support hero and Robin isn't, but like still, it's so that stat spread still being so close is. Well, you know what? Now that we went to stat spreads, I know there are more dragons on this list, but I'm feeling that this Robin might actually be the best defensive dragon because of the healing portion and the damage. Well, you can switch to special too. If you run Noontime, it's 30% damage dealt and 30% of her HP, making it very hard to like do lasting damage on her. Or if she goes for like Moonbow or something and it's just 30% damage, drop their opponents. It's like a mini ether. So
her attack gets high enough that Glimmer can actually be argued for as well.
Right.
Absolutely.
So she's very hard to hit. Like if you're a range hero and you hit Robin, I hope you have Mystic Boost or something because she might just kill you, like in one shot.
Yeah.
I mean, let's put it this way: her only competition is Dragon super tanks go are Winter Sothis, because Sirius is amazing.
Oh, that's
and
true.
Nagi, because Nagi has slaying, special fighter, and actually relatively bulk.
But it speaks to the
Arguably
quality.
Myrrh as well.
Also,
Arguably, yeah.
But it speaks to the quality of Robin. The fact that she's competing with armor dragons, like it's been a year since they've been, almost a year since they've been released, but still, that is incredible.
Not just armor dragons, but our first 185 BST unit, who also gets an extra 20 stats just for existing, pretty much.
Though Winter Sothis is, of course, an extremely fast unit.
Though with that said,
that is true.
This is even better than Winter Sothis, I would say, because Winter Sothis is based on her speed, extra damage based on her speed, and healing's based on damage. This one is because it's not quite the same because it's Sirius's personal special, but Robin can just use Moonbow or like Glimmer and get maybe even more damage and more healing.
Potentially. If you're fighting against units when Moonbow is doing more damage than Sirius, you have a problem.
Well,
but potentially.
Yeah.
Alright.
I mean, if you're using Glimmer instead and that's getting more damage than Sirius, then okay,
they have a problem.
Probably gonna kill anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a problem with that point. But that you're right. That does absolutely speak to the quality of female Grima. I think that of all, like even of all dragons in general, I think she's one of the best, if not the best. At least
as a green flyer, which is one of the weakest combinations for dragons to have.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's also she doesn't really have competition, so in terms of flying.
Oh, absolutely.
It's basically just Myrrh.
Like I'm just checking for flyers real quick because I don't think there are a lot of good mixed tank flyers outside of her, if we're being totally honest.
None of them are quite so min-maxed.
You could argue Altina or Mirabilis or even Ashnard, but you're right, they're not as min-maxed. But then there's also the fact that, especially like Altina, there's no kit contouring to her bulk as much as just being offensive. Grima is actually trying to respect that tank role with this kit, and I like that a lot.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's not just, oh, you're not doing damage. It's, oh, you did damage? No.
Right. Heal it back. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. I just want to point out one funny quirk though. If you
What?
run Dragon's Ire on Myrrh, you basically just have full no follow-up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, it's silly, but I think that's actually really a good idea for a lot of people. You get full null follow-up and QR on Myrrh. Price of
On
Dragon's
a
Ire.
flyer.
Right, and that's the key
Right.
thing. Flyers can't use no follow up. So, yep.
So if you ever want to inherit it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's a pretty big ask.
Right. But no, very strong start.
All right. Is there any other big comparisons left? I think the biggest ones were already done, but there's some slight comparables, I guess.
Anybody got any suggestions? I'll take them.
I think Naga. To be honest, yeah.
Oh no.
No, not Naga. Sorry, Nagi. My bad. I'm sorry. That's my fault.
Yeah, that's a slightly better comparison. All right.
Yeah.
So Nagi, of course, came out pretty recently, relatively speaking. So she has 7 more BST. Nagi has 6 more HP, 3 less attack, 2 more speed, curiously enough, 1 less defense, and 3 more res.
Wow. That's actually that res part is actually really surprising. Defensively, she keeps up really well. If not,
They're relatively similar.
yeah.
I will say Nagi is still among the few that can actually hit 40 res with a boon because of her defensive boon. Grima can't. But the fact that the bulk still holds up and she even has more defense than Nagi is pretty considerable.
Yeah.
HP is a necessary loss when you're not an armor.
Right.
So, there's that.
Right, but again, she's a flyer and she moves better, so take that as you will. And there's AoE damage reduction on Nagi, so they're quite different, but stat-wise, pretty close.
Yeah, Nagi's a specialist. Grima's a generalist.
All
When
right.
it comes to trying to be a tank, I think being more of a generalist is usually going to be a
Is this new
good
Grima
thing.
better than LF card?
For the most part.
LF Corrin? Yes. Yes,
Uh,
absolutely.
Legendary
Legendary
female
female Corrin. That is a pretty good question because negating Fang is really strong as it is, and infantry has access to a plethora of skills
Not to mention
that
we're talking about
flyers don't.
Not to mention we're talking about a 185 BST infantry.
Yeah, that's also true.
I really think it just comes. Well, that's also true, but I really think it just comes onto like if your opponent has null follow up, then yes, Legendary Fallen Corrin would do better.
Yeah.
But if they don't, I think Robin does better because that general healing with damage, defense, and res. Sure, you got damage reduction, but like that's just healing up really quickly too.
You can also spam healing though, technically.
Yeah, because it's every time you hit her, she hits you back with special and healing. Then you hit her, then he hits you back with special and healing.
I mean, with Corrin, I know some people spamming Corrins because you can. That is a technical option, but
Yeah.
they both have their advantages. I think that in this meta, Legendary Corrin's player phase is a lot better. That's
Sure,
what
yeah.
makes it superior for most people. Like, I think Legendary Corrin's still going to be more threatening in most fights, especially in a defense team, than Fallen Grima, female Grima. But they're definitely the top 2.
I just think if you put attack res rain on Robin, I think it's I think it's so hard to kill her at that point. I hope you have a
Absolutely.
Falchion.
Yeah, no joke about that.
And even then, as far as matchups against the Falchion, Legendary Corrin has a better matchup there, unless we're talking about Alm. Base Alm.
Right. That is the one Falchion that hard counters, whereas any self-respecting Falchion could probably counter. Important to know. But
Yep.
yeah. Definitely a top 2 dragon, maybe top 3. I don't know even who would the third be. I just want to give that leniency.
Okay, well let's move on to the next hero. We've been here for a bit. I can't say his name correctly.
Dheginsea.
Dheginsea. It's
Dheginsea.
yeah, Dheginsea. That's probably what I would say. He has 45 HP, 45 attack, 14 speed, 41 defense, and 39 res. When we were talking about Vivaxing on Grima, it's really hard not to just slightly look to the right and notice, hey, Somebody else is even more min-maxed.
And that's why I wouldn't say that Dheginsea is why I did it, but I suspend my disbelief on who's the best dragon. You look right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. He
That is
is
the
the
highest spec.
slowest unit in the entire game as well.
11 speed and Bane is uncontested. I think 16 was the lowest previously, and he just crushes it.
Yeah, 16 with a Super Bane was the slowest. Now it's 14 with a regular Bane.
So it becomes 11 instead of 12. And he
Yeah.
can't get as many Dragon Flowers, so even at peak
Also
investment, he still is the slowest.
Hmm.
That is also the highest attack, tied with Edelgard, and among the lowest HP of all armors. Namori is still lower as far as melee goes, but it's still pretty low. That defense
Low
runs.
for an armor unit with 41 defense and 39 res at base.
And no perf, so you get the refined option.
Okay, to be honest, this is getting a bit ridiculous because we're getting to he has no perf, so you can refine. We're getting to the point where like there's heroes that are legitimately just 50-50 defense res, like no true weakness. Now,
Yeah.
he is technically weak against falchions, but even if, for example, if you ran Marth on him, that's one of the weakest falchion users I know, but still 1.5x damage. It's like practically still bouncing off of him. It's still
Legendary
hurting
Marth
a
would
bit,
crush.
but yeah.
Yeah. No, you would have to be pretty hard pressed. If you're especially initiating on a base against you, that's 47, 52 defense, and effectively. And of course, there's no way you can inflict penalties on him, thanks to his innate B slot. And then of course you're not allowed to buff yourself because of his weapon being lull attack res. Yikes.
Yeah, this is completely not fair, is what I'm gonna say. So quick refresher on his kit. Wait, did we go for boons and banes?
Oh, my bad. Dheginsea is 184 BST, red dragon armor, with attack super bane, rip, and speed and res super boons.
Right. Okay.
And
Wow.
I did say that Nagi was one among the few to hit 40-40 def res. Dheginsea is also there now, with 41 defense and 43 res, plus res.
Okay, so at that point, this is pretty ridiculous. You said he's 184 BSD base?
Correct.
Yes.
Is that the highest then?
Edelgard and
Wait, really?
Gotri are 185.
Edelgard,
Oh.
Gotri, Winter Sothis.
Okay.
And Winter Sothis.
Well, but because his speed is even lower, he actually has a better use. Like, the difference between 14 and 17 speed is 3, but they're both useless, but the points would actually be
I'll
used
keep
better.
those two on standby. We'll put it that way.
All right.
Also, I already see people memeing on it in the chat. Please, don't go for a plus speed Dheginsea if you have the choice.
It's gonna happen. There's gonna be speed Dheginsea.
I mean, we've seen the old school speed Ardens, but this is even harder of a journey.
You're starting from 18. I mean, Arden starts at 16, granted, but ugh,
19 if you choose to give him a boon.
if you're using mangoes and Arden, I have sorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, somebody's probably gonna try it, but yeah, I don't suggest it.
14 base speed is proof that a super boon is not always optimal.
Yes, please, super boons. People lose their minds over 1 extra point. Don't, please don't.
It matters in some of the middle speed matchups. Like I think plus speed Arden is a good thing.
It
Not
also
against
matters
it.
in arena
Well,
scoring, but that's the only times I would consider it. Arena scoring for me.
Plus
Which if
speed
you
to
are-
boon is one of those options where it's like, okay, yeah, you can actually build around it because of how many things will stack up there.
Sure.
Mhm.
And I guess effective heroes as well, plus attack. All right.
I will say he is lucky that he has the speed super boon and not super bane, because if you go plus res minus speed, you still hit 185 BFT without hurting him, and you can use him in a no merge arena situation.
Okay. Okay. Refresher on his kit. Blackfire Breath. If unit is not just an ally, attack res -5 on foe during combat and neutralizes foe's bonuses to attack and res. He also has Draconic Aura, Sturdy Stance 3, and Slick Fighter, which is if HP is over 25% and foe initiates combat, neutralizes penalties on unit during combat, and unit makes a guaranteed fall attack. So it's another one of those new armored skills. That's basically
It's part of what Brave Hector has in his refine.
okay.
Glad to know we're compartmentalizing that already.
Yeah.
All right. So immediately his base kit kind of leaves some things some openings, especially as good as Draconic Aura is with defense that high, and possible super res boon. Yeah, you probably want to go for Iceberg or Bonfire, I would say.
Probably still
Yeah.
Bonfire. I mean, it depends. Funnily enough, if you have a plus res Dheginsea, this is a weird case where actually with defense are fine. Usually with a mixed tank like this, the res is lower, like in this case, and you res are fine. But if you actually go plus res, his defense becomes lower considerably. So it's really hard to say which one of those you would choose, but you definitely end up in a weird situation where his bulk kind of struggles to keep up with each other.
Right. He's in a weird situation period, because I feel like this is one of the heroes that I kind of wish I could put DC on, but his A skill is so good. It's 30 stance 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lightning breath.
Oh, but then you give his it's so hard because his
Up to
breath.
lull though, and access to lull as an armor is big.
Yeah.
Solo as an armor is also a thing.
Yeah, and because he's a dragon, he does not have access to armored stride.
Correct.
So yeah, it's awkward because I feel his base kit makes so much sense, because you can't buff your opponent can't buff for attack and res, they can't debuff him, and they can't even get their special up because he has guard in his A slot. So
Yeah.
it fits all together so well. Basically, all I think you should probably do is just drop like attack smoke or something in C, and you're basically done because he just takes no damage at that point.
Yep. Like, I mean, thinking about that, even as it starts up at 44 with his weapon, 48 if you res refine it, or 48 if you go res boom. Plus, he still has 50 HP thanks to that refine option. So, yeah, neither side's going to be taking much. And of course, he starts out at 59 attack, 65 with his A slot, and 70 with his weapon. 70 attack with like 50, 45 bulk. You're doubling, and all the other bells and whistles you mentioned.
All right.
Obviously,
Thea is not the type of unit you want to approach without some sort of plan.
don't let him be the one to enemy phase. You better be letting him initiate.
Yeah,
That's all
that's
I can say.
probably your best chance. But even then, he hits hard. So
Oh, he hits so hard. Yeah, it's a risk either way.
Yep. 100% do not use him in Astro or Anima seasons, but in light and dark.
Actually, Astra is not the worst for him. Thracer is not going to do that much damage. She gets that guaranteed 10, but the dragon effectiveness isn't much when he can res stack.
He can res stack, but because of dragon effectiveness, that means that Thracer effectively just has color advantage over him as well.
Roughly, yeah. Though,
No, it's pretty much exact on that.
Yeah.
The 1.5 times 0.8 just comes to 1.2.
Yeah, it's pretty much just like having a triangle advantage. But then again, you're literally just saying not putting him there because he's weak to Thracier and a triangle matchup.
Yeah.
Which, again, 39 res. The fact that you can res stack with Plumeria, you get attack res +3. He will probably live Thracier's even, which is pretty insane.
All right. But yeah, let's get to some comparisons because he's really interesting because this is kind of ridiculous. He has no perf, but he's so incredibly bulky.
Yeah, I know you want him. So, do you want Edelgard or Gottry first?
Actually, they're both. Yeah, those are comparables. Either one's fine.
I'll start with Gottry then. Gottry, who just came out recently, has the same. Well, actually, one more BST. Gottry has 2 more HP, 3 less attack, 3 more speed, 3 more defense, and 4 less res. Not bad.
Not bad. Yeah, that actually matches up pretty well. But it feels weird because Gottfried's like pretty irrelevant in my mind, even though his stat spread's pretty good. Dheginsea is not relevant at all.
Dheginsea,
Gottry is irrelevant. It's more that he's kind of awkward in timing.
Yep.
Not as many people. There are Gottry fans out there, but he's not as popular as Dheginsea by any league, and his timing is awkward.
Yep.
Not to mention, if we look at the two, Gotri is a heavy physical tank. His defense is nigh unparalleled. But, in fact, it is unparalleled. But his min-maxing isn't exactly as good as Dheginsea's, meaning he's not as great a mixed tank. And that does have its showings here.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention Crafty Fighter Fodder. On the other hand, Edelgard, the one that everybody already has, keeping in mind that Edelgard is insane with her weapon and her B slot. She has 1 more BST, 1 more HP, equal attack, 2 more speed, 2 more defense, 4 less res.
Okay.
You can see where his advantages lie.
Yeah.
So the speed on Brave Edelgard is a waste, and we can actually consider it a waste now because of Dheginsea.
Right.
Pretty much. I mean, 2 more speed on Edelgard. I guess if you go plus speed, you'll double through a wary fighter Dheginsea.
What's the point? Yeah.
If you want to look at it that way, I guess.
That's dumb.
But yeah, I mean, realistically, he is the king of min-maxing. Not even like his speed is perfect.
His speed is abysmal, and that's what makes it amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it's really the res that I think is his call to glory here of his competitors.
Yeah.
Even though
he does have a res super boon, while Edelgard does not.
Of course, Edelgard is Edelgard.
Yeah.
But if you're just looking at it from the raw stat point, Dheginsea wins, I think.
As far as stat allocation, Dheginsea, however you pronounce his name.
I know it's triggering me too.
I'm also kind of tired.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he wins.
Yep. And then there is also... Oh, excuse me. There is also Legendary Edelgard.
Oh, that's
Relatively
true.
similar.
Yep. So, Legendary Edelgard, to start off, has 5 less BST. One moment. So, Legendary Edelgard and Dheginsea have equal HP. Edelgard has 3 less attack, 3 more speed, 2 less defense, and 3 less res. But Edelgard does have access to 5 more flowers.
Oh,
Legendary
well,
Edelgard,
that
is.
helps a bit.
Yeah. With anybody prior to Edelgard, Brave, all the other super tanks, they get more dragon flowers to keep up.
Yep.
Which is why I also wanted to bring in, again, Nagi.
Mm-hmm.
Nagi has, for reference, 5 less BST. She has 1 more HP, 8 less attack, 5 more speed, 5 less defense, and 2 more res.
That really sucks. The 5 speed, 5 defense trait.
And then, yikes. Like, Nagi is not bad. 19 speed, still pretty low. But, like, 8 less attack is so painful. And then you also have that 5 speed defense drop.
I do want to say something. Who wants to bet in a year from now we're gonna get like our first 8 defense unit, and then 2 years from now we're gonna have our first 2 defense. 2 speed, not defense, 2 speed unit. Because the reality is, like, at this point, this speed doesn't do anything. Like, it's just completely a waste. 14 might as well be 0, you know.
It will matter if we get a 2 speed.
Oh well, yeah. Technically, you get 2 speed unit. Yeah.
Even at the lowest of the low speed units have a competition with each other. Because while Nagi does have more speed than Dheginsea by way too much, she has so much more speed that she naturally doubles him.
But you do realize how stupid this is. It's like literally one matchup.
Oh yeah, no, it's dumb. It's extremely dumb. Don't get me wrong. But armors with even a lick of speed can actually compete in some degree with those that have less. Which is why, like, for example, Brave Ephraim has 27 speed, and that's actually kind of relevant because it doubles armors that are this min-maxed without problems. But when you're at 19 speed versus 14, you're picking up apples.
Yep. Then I've actually got one more comparison. I'll wait for this little
The
bit
donation.
to go away.
I didn't say anything. Okay.
Oh, whatever.
Turn this off.
Okay. The next comparison is Spring Idun.
I saw this one coming.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about her.
Whoops.
Yep. Spring Idun and Dheginsea have equal BST. Sorry. Ugh. Words. Idun has 1 more HP, 8 less attack, 12 more speed, 4 less defense, and 1 less res. I said 4 less defense, right?
Right.
The first day
I'm
of
tired.
class, filled with
Yeah.
possibilities
So,
and unknowns.
Spring Idun
That's why
will
Trey
naturally
said
double
having powers
Dheginsea.
with
She has
solutions
armor
is-
effectiveness as well, and then there's also the fact that she's a duo unit.
Yeah.
Okay, real quick.
Uh,
I just want to apologize, guys. I have no idea what's happening today with my YouTube. It's like running like shit, and now it's playing ads.
I don't understand where all these ads are coming from.
Yeah, I'm so good. Anyways, continue on. Yes, you just heard an ad. I don't know why. It's so weird today. It's like the music keeps pausing too, and then now there's ads. What the hell?
Weird.
They're trying to break that ad block. It's me.
Yep. So,
Go ahead. Yep.
being a duo unit, that gives Idun quite a bit of an advantage over Dheginsea, mostly because she can just say, this turn, no, I'm not armor, I'm not a dragon, you just get to fight.
Yep. Not to mention that Zephyr Breath is an amazing weapon in its entirety.
That too.
So it's not exactly to say gloom and doom for Idun. And to be fair, Idun is notorious for having an actual speed stat, but
Yeah.
Idun uses it less. That said, numerically speaking, Dheginsea is leagues away from Idun as far as min-maxing. Though mostly
Yeah.
in the offense department, both keeps up pretty well.
Last Christmas we got Christmas Sophist with the
And
first
there's also the fact that
185
as long as she
BST,
has
we think
any
we will get
bonus or
190
is within
BST
2
this
spaces of
Christmas.
an
I
ally,
wouldn't be surprised if we get 195.
Yes.
190.
Probably
That's a bit too big of a jump.
Not
Yeah.
for it'll probably be next year.
Yep. So, as I was saying, with Spring Idun, as long as she has any buff whatsoever, or she's within 2 spaces of any ally, she also just
Looking
ignores
at
all
these units, I'm
debuffs,
happy
regardless
I
of
have Naga. Also,
phase.
the lol in Dylan's weapon to me is weird. It should be only against melee or be def/Rhys low because his adaptive DMG will make some clunky situations.
You're right about that. Realistically, though, if the defense is that much than the res, it's not going to matter.
Yeah.
Like, the adaptive damage is already... Most mages will not really make a difference of low def res versus low attack res. There aren't a lot of defense tanking mages, basically. And the few who are, they usually have lower res, which means that the weapon does come into play. So, you're right. There are a couple of applicable situations where his weapon is actually just not working in a way that helps you. But they're not that many, and they're not really...
I can't tell if you cut off or you stopped.
No, I stopped there.
Okay. Anyways, I think those are all the big comparables, right?
Yeah, unless anybody has any...
Yeah.
Unless you wanted to compare it to Legendary... No. Halloween Grima.
No, not really. That's
We have it right there.
it's right in front of me. Yeah. Okay. The big one for me, well, actually, the big one would be Xane, but we'll get to that. The other big one for me was Harmonic Tiki. This one was surprising to me because, well, it's not surprising. Her stats were in the trailer, but this one is surprising to me from everything else because this is our first refresher unit that doesn't have to burn their turn to refresh, which in my eyes is actually more worthwhile because people argue, hey, you can only use her Harmonic skill one time. I don't really care because she gets to keep her turn. That's the biggest thing for me. That means you can... Whereas a dancer or a refresher would use their turn to give a unit another turn, Tiki gets to just give a unit another turn, keeping her turn. So that's effectively 2 turns instead of 1-ish, kind of. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, her stat spread also really backs it up because she has 39 HP, 39 attack, 42 speed, 32 defense, 25 res as it was in the trailer. But the super boons and banes are what?
Harmonic Tiki, 177 trainee, BST, Blue Dragon Flyer, with attack res super boons and speed super bane. Oh, they gave her attack super.
Wow.
Wait, this is our first speed super bane?
Yeah,
with
I was surprised
42
by that.
base.
I was thinking maybe it's a speed super boon and she reaches 46.
Yeah,
No.
I mean, when you get this high up, it's either you go all the way or you're hurting yourself if you take the bane hard. Like Dheginsea, I expected the attack. Tiki was a little weak. Is a little weak.
Okay.
I was expecting defense super bane or even HP. Like that HP looks like it should have on it,
Should have
but
what?
it doesn't. Should have a super bane on it,
Oh.
but it doesn't.
All right. And then a quick refresher on our skills. Do you guys have that? Actually, I can't pull it up right now.
I can't remember the name of her weapon, which is what sucks.
Frostfire Breath.
Frostfire
Effective
Breath.
against dragon foes, grants attack +3. If bonus is active on unit, grants attack speed +6 during combat. And also grants bonus to units attack equal to total bonuses on units defense and res, multiplied by 1.5 during combat. If foe's range equals 2, calculates damage using the lower of foe's defense or res. So she does not need a stat buff to be able to get that attack and speed boost. And she also comes with attack speed push 4, rally up speed plus, or first rally up skill since rally up res on Lou?
Pretty sure, and it's also the first rally up speed.
Yeah. And she comes also with aerobatics and legendary Tiki's with everyone C skill. So she comes with a very high scoring kit as a 180 BST flyer after a single merge.
Yep. Not a dancer, but it's actually a dancer.
Yep. So this is kind of mind-blowing because, well, basically there's a refresh function with her. The attack and that speed gets ridiculously high. She even busts herself for defense and res. Her kit is really good. Aerobatics gives her so much flexibility too. There's on it, and then attack speed's push 4. I don't think anyone needs an explanation on. And then yeah, you basically have a really complete kit. Honestly, this is one of the craziest heroes in the game. Just does practically everything.
Stupid amounts of damage.
Stupid amount of damage, refresh, and even like can tank decently. I mean, with everyone out there, like she's not the easiest one to kill.
Yeah, I will say that her biggest flaw is that her biggest flaw is that low HP stat.
Right.
One-shotting her isn't going to be the biggest difficulty for a lot of people.
Yeah.
That's going to be the biggest thing that keeps her from not terrorizing some teams. But
Especially in Anima and Astra.
Well, duh, don't put her there. But if you don't have her merged, you have to take a Bane. And this is one unit I don't think a Bane works on. Because anything taken down in this stat line is bad. Even HP.
Yeah.
So, a high merged one might cause you some problems, but a low merged one, you may see some problems if it's yours.
Right.
The big thing to know. That said, at plus attack, that's 43. Her weapon is 19 might, so that immediately goes up to 62. And then with her weapon active, it's immediately 68. With everyone, that goes up to 83 attack. Their A slot, 90 attack.
At base.
Just at base plus attack.
With plus attack.
So with that said, like that's why some people were talking about making her into a sweeper with DC advantage and whatnot. But you do sacrifice some attack, and it's a bit awkward. But she hits so ridiculously hard.
I mean,
Yep.
this is what happens when you blade tome on a dragon.
Yeah, no kidding.
You get the adaptive damage for free.
Yep. Another thing, if you really want to do all you can to keep her as safe as possible, I mean, if you have it available and you're able to swing it, Dive Bomb would work incredibly well with Harmonic Tiki, but that also means you kind of need to get rid of Push, because that's that makes Dive Bomb go away after 2 combats.
Yeah.
Whip Sparrow, baby.
That's Sparrow probably. Yeah.
I remember you
Aerobatics.
saying something about it before, but a lot of the units that come with Push want Sparrow, and a lot of the units that come with Sparrow want Push.
Yeah.
Ironically.
But this is one of the cases I can agree with because of Dive Bomb, but other cases not so much.
Unfortunately, you're talking about foddering A, Pirate to Barn, and B, Swift Sparrow 3, which is not freely available.
But
So,
if you did that,
That being said, if you do go for Dive Bomb, this Tiki can actually use Heavy Blade 4 very well.
obnoxious.
I mean, sure, you're giving up on 7 speed, but she's already stacking up her speed as is quite a bit.
Yep.
And then there's just stupid amounts of damage because Blade Tome on a dragon.
Yeah. So this is the hardest hitting dragon by far, and oh man, okay. So for me, there's two builds here. You either do what MadCrash was just saying, or you try a DC advantage like attack Res Rain or something build, kind of like that.
Or even Speed Res Rain when it eventually comes out.
Or yeah, but I think the speed is overkill. So yeah. And it's important to understand that the speed actually helps a lot because the damage reduction heroes that could have caused trouble, they would cause no trouble. She would match up at least, if not, pass.
Right. No, there's very little disputing here.
Imagine this Tiki with dominance.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one-shots almost anything besides
Yep.
balls.
And just double checking, harmonic skills can be used anywhere, right?
Uh-huh.
No.
The dance part is with interspacing, but you could literally be anywhere on the map and still, or any map at all, and still use our harmonic.
Because the reason I mentioned that is because harmonic heroes can be blessed, so you can just use her all the time.
Yep.
And that just
being
means
said, this is the only harmonic skill so far that does not refresh.
sure.
Correct.
But
So you can't spam it like Mia or like Veronica.
But let's say, because we now have Plumeria and we already had Yoni, you do realize you're guaranteed a dancer, and now you get
nice
another.
That Tiki gets to dance, but it's so specific, like it has to be from their titles.
I think it
Also, I think
refreshes
it's
any
Tiki,
just any
Fake God,
dancer.
and
It has to be
have the
either
highest
Fina.
HP in the team. Well, as long as you have a Hector or a team revolving the unit, you're fine. Okay, the only comparison I
Oh
would
my God,
like
this
to
is so
hear
long.
would be Summer Tiki.
I will immediately say that all Shadow Dragon,
You cut
they all
off.
counted. All Shadow Dragon, New Mystery, and all that, it's the same game. So anything with Marth in it, like the main ones, they're all counted under the same banner.
Yep. But if you want to refresh a dancer with Harmonic Tiki's harmonic skill, it has to be either Fina, Ninian, or Nils. No other units can be, no other dancers can be refreshed.
Yeah, Lauren isn't in that game. So unless we have, non-orthodox dancers, yeah, that's gonna be it. I don't even think there are any off dancers yet, like, for those two games. Are there?
Any what?
Like, dancers that, were not actually dancers? I don't remember.
No.
Yeah, so it's literally just those units. What a dance.
I'm just trying to think of which heroes would make really good use of the harmonic extra move.
Yeah, you gotta also think about that. You gotta use, you have to be running another unit from those games.
It has to be either Mystery or the game Ninian is from.
But that's still good because effectively,
Blazing Sword.
yeah, because if you think about, there are some characters like, say, Eliwood with Gale Force.
Oh god.
Like, it's not impossible. Like, there are accessible heroes that you can make some really good teams with. That extra turn would just burn enemy teams a lot. Like, you could have essentially two refreshers, and one of the refreshers can attack, kill something, and then just refresh again, like, and still refresh.
Another option is Layla, actually.
Yeah.
Layla is from that game, so you could technically have Layla
mean.
swap with Tiki with Layla. You could run guidance so that Layla gets another action, moves again, gets to repo Tiki twice, while also getting to attack twice.
Yeah, so the point I was making is just, yes, it is a handicap, but it's not as big of a handicap because there are so many good heroes from the games.
And the HP part is mostly just theirs. Can't, dance multiple units.
Right.
But will they have the
No.
And
highest
it's the
HP
highest
in your
current
team?
HP, not max.
Yeah, and it's only the highest HP of that type. All of the units that are not active, that have acted already.
Yeah.
So reasonably, if you only run one New Mystery or anything like that, and one Blazing, and then the only one that's acted, you're fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Right. So it's a minor handicap. I'd argue I'd take that any day over burning the actual turn of Tiki. So
Yeah. It means you can't use her in defense and dance with that.
Right.
You're not going to get a broken dancer in your 8th rank defense that can also kill while dancing, but you still have all of that. Plus the extra BST because she's not technically a dancer in offense.
Yep. Okay. Pretty ridiculous. Also,
Absolutely.
I also want to say these two are super cute together. Ninian looks like the nice auntie bringing Tiki for trick-or-treating.
She looks like she's trying to be Naga.
Oh, that's all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's also true.
That's
Especially the way that the silk veil kind of swoops
Yes.
up and around.
that's the reason why everyone's saying it's Naga and Tiki, and that would have made a lot of sense too. But no, it's Ninian. That's
Yeah.
would have
We
played with
got-
our hearts.
We got bamboozled.
I mean, anyone who knows the actual like history between Tiki and Naga would recognize that's also kind of weird if that did happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, you could argue they're from different games because Naga's Awakening and New Mystery, but or Shadow Dragon. But you know,
Yeah, Naga is the only individual character unit that counts as being from 2 games.
Nils and Naga would have been cuter. That is a pretty cute option, yeah. What do you think of new Grima with Heavy Blade Seal and Luna for special? Why though? Because every time they attack her, she gets her
She gets
special
bonus
ready.
cooldown.
Yeah. So what's the point of running Luna?
Yeah,
And
just
Heavy Blade.
stick with 2 cooldown specials.
Yeah. Because if she attacks somebody, she doesn't double. You understand that, right? So your Luna would drop by 2 cooldown, and then it has 1 cooldown left, and then your opponent attacks, and then your opponent attacks again. Like, you don't even use it, so there's no point in running Heavy Blade Steel or Luna, I would say.
yeah. Recently, no. It's gonna be Astra or Glimmer no matter what you're running.
Right. Okay, in terms of builds, we went over that. Okay, in terms of comparisons, the hero that I saw first immediately was Lilith, just because Lilith is very similar in high attack, high
I
speed.
feel like we're gonna bring up both of them, aren't they? Aren't
Yeah.
we? So we'll start with Lilith. Slightly more merciful. Lilith, having come out last generation, has 4 less BST. Funnily enough, they're both trainee Blue Dragon flyers, but because Lilith is older, less BST. Lilith has equal HP, 3 less attack, 1 less speed, 5 less defense, but 5 more res.
Yeah. That's actually that 5 res thing.
It's Yuki on Ninian, also no Tiki
It's a
Lloyd
trait.
dancer yet.
Oh, Tiki Lloyd from yes, from TMS. I wonder if they'll. I am looking forward to it if they ever make another TMS banner. But
Same here. I would love it.
Yeah, so Ninian is dressed up as a snow spirit.
Yep. I had a feeling there was some
Makes
sort of
sense.
theme there. But
because she
Yeah.
becomes a spirit. There you go. Yeah. Okay. Moving on.
ha! But yeah, Lilith is a nice balance tank, obviously. I mean, she's just balanced in general. Not really a nuke like Tiki, but not exactly as frail overall. Though I will say that Tiki's defense does come very much in handy when Lilith only has 27.
Right.
That is very much worth noting. But of course, then you have to like consider the warp factor, where you can use Tiki, where you use Lilith. It's just different flavors. I'd still think that overall Tiki's better,
Right.
Yeah.
but there are distinct utilities to Lilith.
I mean, Lilith's support can teleport to anywhere, so yes, there's absolutely.
Yep. One other note about the Frostfire Breath and the Harmonic skill. The Harmonic skill itself will also activate Frostfire Breath.
Because it's a buff
Oh yeah,
of
it's tax
Resonant
P plus
Blades.
4. Wait, what?
Yeah, it's
Resonance
it's
Blades.
just a buff in general.
Yeah,
Oh.
Resonance buffs are actual buffs. They're not just in stats.
Yeah.
So if you
It's a
run-
buff that says, "Hey, you get this in combat this turn."
Yeah. So even just running the harmonic skill with everyone will still give you the attack speed plus 6.
Oh,
It
okay.
won't give you the def res
Which then
buff.
translates to attack speed plus 10 plus 17 with push factored in. Yeah.
Right. It
It-
obviously you won't
it's
get
done.
def res the blade tone part because you're not defense res buffed,
Mhm.
but you still
It's
get the attack
dumb.
speed.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go fast.
Yeah. So if you have with everyone active, you activate the harmonic skill, that's plus 32 to attack that Tiki is getting.
Yeah, I've kind of given up on trying to Tiki's numbers a little, like, she's gonna one-shot, and I'm
What the
accepting
hell
it.
did you even say, Legion?
You cut off so many different times. I don't even know how it's
in that
possible.
statement.
I am sad. I've given up on Tiki remembering her attack at this.
At this
I
point,
just accept she's gonna one-shot, and that's it.
okay, yep.
Or maybe
That seems wise.
I don't even want to talk about her attack because it doesn't even make sense to me. This is like basically like a Blade Tome hero, except already super enabled and has super good stats. When was the last time we got a Blade Tome hero, like, released?
Blade Tome in general?
Yeah, a long time. I think
Was it Olwen?
Owen? Yeah.
I think it was Green
La-
Olwen.
I think Leviatine came after Olwen.
Oh, that's a Blade.
Oh,
Blade.
right. Yeah, if you
that's
wanna
true.
get
Okay, fine.
pedantic
Levitate.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, which, if we're getting into the full semantics, I'm pretty sure Leviatine can still hit more damage over Tiki, because you get all your stats, but that's it.
Yeah. But still, this is incredible because it's a friggin' flying dragon.
Yeah. Time to murder somebody.
Yeah.
Let's bring in Naga.
Yeah.
So, Naga.
I hate this.
For
I already hate
Naga,
this.
15 less BST. Trainee stat. Not that you would have.
Naga did
Naga.
not have trainee status.
2 less HP. 9 less attack.
9.
6 less speed. 1 more defense. And 1 more res.
Wow, you're ever so slightly more bulky. Congratulations.
It's worth noting, Naga is the only that can dragon effectiveness. It's worth noting Naga's a mythic. It's worth noting that no weapon gives more stats overall than Naga, plus 9 to every stat with 3 dragons, or 3 effective against dragon units nearby. Ouch, is all I gotta say in the end.
Yep.
Ouch. 9 more attack on Tiki, and they both have 19 might weapons. So, who's on the Naga train right now?
No, MadCrash. MadCrash is on his Naga train.
I'll be honest, I still like
Yes.
Naga a lot. I still do like her, and if we're being completely honest, Naga, blessings aside, is still a better mixed tank, because she can give herself plus 6 def rep really easily, not plus 9.
If not more.
Yeah, but I would argue Tiki's not supposed to be a tank at all, so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're getting a decently better tank versus one of the best nukes in the game.
Yeah.
Just
Pick
your
weird.
side, I guess.
Also, I want to quickly remind people, in the past 2 well, yeah, actually it is the past 2 banners, isn't it? Oh, well, I guess if you count the legendary banner. Past 3 banners, we've gotten like the new top 3 in terms of attack speed totals, right?
Yeah,
Shinon, Jill, and now Tiki.
I'm pretty sure Tiki is better than both of them, if memory serves.
Tiki has 81 attack speed combined.
Shinon has
at base
70.
stat.
Shinon
Shinon
has,
has
sorry, 80.
80.
80.
So we have a new record breaker already.
Tiki has 1 more attack and equal speed.
Yeah, this is literally ridiculous. That last banner was really good. No one pulled on it, but honestly, if you look at it now, they people get on my side on this, but get on my case about this, but like this is just legitimate power creep. You can't put 3 heroes into your top 3 of offense totals in just 3 and under 3 banners in under 1 month.
4 Hell was also not too long ago.
Okay, well, if you just extend it out slightly more, yeah, it's getting too nutty. Like the attack speed meta is just, it's going to another dimension now.
And Jill, for reference, has equal attack but 2 less speed. So we'll just a point down. So Tiki has a point up on Shinon, 2 points up on Jill, and 3 points up on Hell, as far as attack speed total. Rawr.
And the fact that they made it so that she can even give it an extra turn, it's just, that's what boggles my mind. It doesn't make any sense anymore. Like, the utility here is insane.
And the fact that she hits so much harder than any of those that have been mentioned because
Yeah.
of that blade tone.
Yeah, I don't even know. This is not even making sense to me. Like,
it's getting harder and harder for this to be a strategy game if you can just overwhelm everything with sheer stats.
Lol def res couldn't be any more needed right now.
All right.
I mean, that is a thing to note. Lol def res would screw the Tiki hard.
Sure, but
Yeah.
I hope
But at the
that's
same time,
actually a weird law. Most people take something. Yeah, most
it
people would
would
not
work
take
on
law
field.
defense
Light
res.
and dark.
Yeah, Light and Dark would. I mean, obviously Julia screws not Tiki over for days, but you know.
Yeah.
Well, legendary Julia especially, but then fallen Julia also just gets to kind of bitch slap her around as well.
Sure, but
Yeah.
like my point was like, who would even use law defense res? Like that's a one. There's
It's
only
for
like one
dragons,
situation.
Kinda.
Or yeah, Kata especially. But
Oh, well.
it'd be for like dragons or not Hilda, Ena.
I guess they'll
Annette
release it
would like
one day,
too.
but take a very peculiar hero to actually utilize it.
Yeah, it's probably not gonna happen. So,
Okay.
yikes.
All right, but yeah, I don't think there's much more to talk about Tiki. Very extremely overpowered, I would say. That does nothing about her makes sense to me, but cool.
I'm scared.
Yep.
Final two, Autumn Trickster Xane, and this is automatically the most interesting hero because I came into this saying I already decided. I want to become a clown guy. I want to become a clown man with ether raids anyways because I run Kranya on Astra seasons, and now if I get Xane, I'll run him on light seasons. So I'll have two main carries being clowns. Somehow that appeals to me for some reason. I will formally run the circus for ether raids. Anyways, with that said, Xane is 47 HP, 30 attack, 34 speed, 25 defense, and 30 res. But to be honest, the only stat we were really going to care about was going to be HP, because he should ideally take the stats of everybody else.
His stats are wonderfully mediocre,
Perfect. For
Perfect.
those wondering,
except for HP.
which is also perfect. That HP is, I think, one of the highest of any infant, and certainly one of the highest in free-to-play. Free-to-plays. As far as his super veins, Xane is a 166 BST colorless mage infantry, the first of all colorless mages to demote, with defense super boon and res super bane. Yay.
Okay.
I think for Xane, when it comes to being able to do comparisons, we can kind of skip them
Yeah, I don't
because
think
they
there's
just don't
a point.
matter.
Yeah.
Let's compare him. No, let's compare him to Marita. He has 6 more HP, equal attack, equal speed, equal
Is it
defense, and
ironic
equal
to say
res.
that his stats are pretty immaculate cack?
But to be honest, yeah, you're right. Like, this technically stats aren't bad because no, let's just do one comparison. Kranya. Just because
Kranya.
they're
Okay.
both clowns.
I'm
And
pretty
actually, that
sure
attack
that-
and speed is really, really similar.
Okay,
has more
so
stats
not being
than her.
pedantic.
Well, yes.
Kranya has obviously less BSD by 4. She has 3 less HP, 1 more attack, 5 more speed, 3 less defense, and 4 less res.
Okay, well, I forgot Kranya has a lot more speed. But yeah, aside from that, the attack and, yeah.
Yeah, relatively otherwise the same. I will
Okay.
say right now that Xane is, if you're ever, there is a
Does
challenge
bonus
that sometimes
double
goes
work
around
with his
trying
tongue?
to.
Does
No.
bonus doubler work with his tome?
No,
No.
it only works
Bother.
with visible buffs.
Yeah, it's not his. He's taking their stats. He's not taking their buffs. He's taking their stats.
Yeah, not to mention even if you took those buffs, it wouldn't matter. Bonus doubler doesn't affect those either.
Yeah.
I will say there is a challenge that sometimes goes around to tie a unit stats, all of them. Xane would be one of the easiest to do that with because his stat line is the most balanced I've ever seen.
Mhm.
I can't think of a unit up. Actually, no, I think I can. Let me find him.
It's okay for him to be mediocre though, guys, and it's probably for the best for him to be mediocre because honestly, the only thing Xane really has to worry about are heroes that can move him out of 2 range space of his allies. Wait, it's 2 or is it 3?
2.
Okay. The only thing he has to worry about are enemy heroes that can move him out of range of his allies, in which case he loses all their stats. And if you guys forgot how he works, he takes the highest stats of any ally nearby. So if an ally's hero has like 60 attack, he'll take it from that hero, and then another ally hero has 60 defense and 60 res, he'll take the defense and res of that hero, and then he'll take the highest speed of any hero nearby. He actually doesn't even keep any of his stats, realistically. So
You literally can't.
he can't.
If you have, like, his speed and res are actually kind of good. 34-30 is not bad. If for some reason you have an ally nearby that, or less res tanky, for example, he would have to succumb to that. Like I mentioned before, Mila, he'd take hold of her wonderful attack, defense, and res, but then he would also have to lose the speed. So you have to keep that in mind.
Bramimond does not stop his weapon from working because his weapon is his skill.
Yeah, Bramimond's Impenetrable Dark only...
You cut off.
Impenetrable Dark only lets you use skills on your kit, not others.
Yep.
So his weapon is his weapon. Look at it that way.
So yeah, there are a few nuances about him that I think people get confused about, but we'll clear it up. But without all that said, he is one of the most interesting heroes in this game, and as someone mentioned earlier to me, this is the most anti-power creep hero we've ever had, because you can't power creep him at all.
Technically, he is the power creep if you want.
He is the yes, he is the power creep.
He is the power creep because he has all of the best options of every unit you have in your barracks.
Yes.
By all
Like,
means, it could be a 200 BST colorless mage and nothing said about it.
Like, for example, if you have Merida in, let's say, Brave Edelgard,
Yoink.
Yep.
close counter, no follow-up, he doesn't really need to worry.
Yeah, the build options are definitely going to come down to allies you use with, funnily enough. Like, you could technically go for, like, the ideal from what you would immediately look at is speed, res sort of thing. Like, try to lower their res, increase the speed, things like that. Or CC, because he has mixed bulk. But realistically, it's going to really... the team's running.
Who would be
what you
Xane's
use
best
him for.
FTP ally to keep around him, in your opinion?
Free to play. Ooh.
Free to play, I would have to think about Male Corrin.
Yeah, Melkorin does
He
become a
exists
stat
around
ball
whereas
with
your
Yato.
waifus have a clown.
Oh, you're right about that. Male Corrin with Fury, which is one of his most common A skills,
And 15
would actually go
Dragon
well.
Flowers. 15 Dragonflower Male Corrin with Yato would be a huge enough stat ball where maybe besides attack, depending, he'd be fine. Xane would at least... And not to mention the fact that he would have the ally support buff.
Yep.
He would be able to reach an acceptable stat threshold.
Okay, so yeah, plus 10 complete max Corrin is an option. But the one I keep talking about is Mila, because Mila has really good attack, really high defense, really high res, and you're going to run her in
Fury 4
E3.
and summoner support to whoever you partner him with, also ally support them.
Right, well, but the reason why I mentioned Mila is because you could just give her Fortress Defense. Well, that hurts her attack, but Fortress Defense res, and then you basically have this defense and res set up. And also...
The main thing is, if we're looking standalone, Mila's gonna suck. Can't get speed.
Yeah, that's a problem. You can't... Well, ideally, I mean, you're going to run at least Peony, and Peony speed is not terrible, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Not amazing, though. It's like 36. So, you would ideally either be running like a life and death unit, or you would be running like Corrin as a more compact option stats.
But yeah, this is why I'm like...
if you have Xane's support partner as Corrin, Xane really just does turn into this massive ball of stats, especially if your Corrin is maxed out with Fury 4.
And you don't even have to max out Xane, you can literally just have him unmerged or +1, and that's all you'll need.
Ideally, plus HP.
Ideally, though realistically, Zane's investment a lot lower than what yours. It's funny, he's a reverse whale unit in that Xane himself is cheap, but his support is expensive as hell because you have to make sure he has good stats. But not his.
I like how you say reverse whale unit when whales are going to love him too.
Oh yeah, no, whales are gonna love him. It's just that they're ironically not gonna be wailing for him, they're gonna be wailing for who he is with.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I find that hilarious.
It is hilarious. Alright.
I did want to mention a comparison.
Sure.
My immediate thought for him was actually the Fjorm, who came out not too quite a while ago.
Yeah, Fjorm does have a really balanced stat line.
So obviously, Fjorm, very, very, very old, has 2 less BST.
Wait, we're talking about the free form, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what the... Okay, sure. Go ahead.
I know, it sounds weird. Fjorm has 8 less HP, equal attack, 3 less speed, 5 more defense, and 4 more res.
Wait, how's this similar? It's weird.
They're both extremely balanced. It's just that Fjorm is a better tank, better, well, HP attack unit, speed.
Okay, you got it. Sure.
I'm trying to think of the balanced units. If anybody knows,
Whatever. It doesn't even really matter. Anyways, what really matters is how would you build Xane?
yes.
And we talked about this briefly too, because obviously you keep his tome, but the rest of it well, there's really three things about Xane. One, how many copies are you gonna get? I would suggest at least +1, and ideally plus HP, because all his other stats are gonna get wiped out anyways. And then number two, who you're teaming him with. Ideally somebody who gives him high defense, high res, high attack, high speed. You got all of that in your team, as well as extra supports on top of that, like drives and whatnot. And then finally, number three is the build itself. So these are the three important questions about Xane. And yeah, we're basically on 3 now, and I would say you got 2 options. You either make him like just incredible like beast of a tank, and he just gets hit and he counterattacks and kills, or you make him into sweeper. He can actually do both.
Yeah. It's heavily dependent on your team. Most likely you're gonna run enemy phase because he still has to be bases of an ally. But you could technically go like Swift Sparrow. I think that universally Lull is gonna be his best option on B. Unless you like doing quicker post on a slower Xane.
No follow-up would be really good for
Or
a
no
higher
follow-up.
speed option.
Yeah. I think that the biggest thing is that you either go close counter, try to get the highest in combat stat buffs possible, and stay the hell away from things like Fury or like Life and Death. None of that
Yeah.
matters.
Yep. Yeah. In stream guests, I actually posted a male Korin that would be able to work exceptionally well with Xane.
Wait, where?
Where?
Stream guests.
Where?
Where?
Never mind, I posted it in the wrong channel. I will
Thanks.
fix that.
Because I'm in stream, guys. I'm just like, what? Where?
I'm tired enough that I completely missed that. My mistake.
Where'd you post it?
Now it's in stream guest.
That's not to ask. I will say, by the way, do not give him Fury. It is actually bad for him because he's taking damage that he doesn't have any reason to be taking.
Yeah, don't give Xane Fury, but giving Korin Fury, on the other hand, is
Ideal.
much more viable. And yes, that is Phantom Speed that you're seeing there.
Yeah, I was gonna ask why Phantom Speed?
Because Zane's tome compares his stats to the allies within 2 spaces. Phantom Speed makes the comparison.
Does that affect how much he's getting?
Actually,
I
Or does that
think
just-
it
would
does.
that actually give him 10 extra
Somebody-
speed?
I
Somebody
think it
have to
would.
check.
Oh,
Somebody would have to
Yeah,
check that.
this is something that would need to be verified, but if it does work that way, this is just going to be really damn good.
I think you're
Yeah, if-
super big braining this right now, but if it's true, that would be insane because this one core it would really set him up.
Yeah, I will. If people need to test that as soon as it happens, as soon as it comes out. If Phantom skills work, then that's just free 10 speed. I would put him up to 55 here, base.
And that's
without including
only
Yato.
factoring in Korin, not somebody else with even higher attack.
And then of course you have Phantom Res if you want to make him an insane res tank. By the way, I did not know Korin had balanced def res in this boot.
Yeah, he has a res super bin.
Ah.
It's his only super bin.
Ah.
All right, so yeah, with that said, this is pretty interesting. Chill speed res obviously supports him by dropping the speed and res of the highest combined total of those. Infantry breath for faster specials. Fury for just as much stats as possible. Yato for the extra support as well. So that does jack up his
More stats, because refined Yato with any refined grants +2 to everything to Korin.
Right.
You could always run joint drives or just drives in general. I think Zane's best C slot rather is going to be joint drive almost universally because of this.
Yep.
Zane's tome says that if his stats are the highest it will be lowered, so you have to refrain from any buffs. If I build him CC Wings of Mercy and Panic Ploy with HP 5.
Okay, so they were really smart by doing what they did because they intentionally made his stats mediocre because they didn't want him to accidentally take away the. Sorry, they don't want him to accidentally be the high stat and then get reduced.
Yeah. Which, I mean, even in that case, yeah, no, it would just be bad.
So looking at the description for the Phantom skills, when any skill compares this unit's speed stat to another unit's, this unit's speed stat is counted as +10 over actual value.
But
Right.
is
So
that
I'm pretty
is it a
sure that works
two-prong-
with Xane.
Is it a-
That works with Joker's Wild.
But is it a two-pronged check where it will compare the speed stats and then it will take, or does it compare the two speed stats and then also that speed stat that is being compared to is what's taken? Because theoretically, it could be that you're comparing like 34 speed to 44 speed post Phantom. You're taking the
Yeah.
44 speed, but then you lose the 10 because that was only a check. That's the dilemma here.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's why you gotta be
this
tested.
is going to be an interesting thing. And if it turns out that it actually doesn't work that way, then okay, you can just put a drive there.
Not
Or
well.
even
I
chill.
think attack speed 2 or something. A
Attack
seal.
speed to it, or even like
Yeah, that too.
defense could also work. Fortress Res. Sadly, no Fury Seal yet, but maybe one day.
Oh, I would
Not a
take
Fury
Fortress Res
Steel
or
on Orin.
that's the thing. Like if it's for me, for Mila, I would put Fortress Defense, Fortress Defense Res and A slot and Fortress Defense in Seal. That way you have.
Fury
You
4 is almost unilaterally.
Hmm?
Fury
Almost
4 is
unilaterally,
almost
what?
better.
Mm.
Because it's +4 defense res, but then also plus.
yeah, I guess it's for the attack portion, right?
And then you're not losing to attack.
Yeah, but it's for it fits better with Mila, is what I'm gonna say. Because technically,
Yeah.
Mila can still play her role. If you want to do, say, Fortress Defense Res and then Lightning Breath, now you got offensive Mila for like cab lines. If you run
Oh,
Null
yeah.
Seed anyways.
If you're looking in the practical sense, and for Mila especially, it's Fortress Defense Red. But the 6 attack swing for using Fury 4 over that, for most cases, is going to be better. Unless you're guaranteeing that he has 2 allies nearby and attack speed.
For the person who says, "Hey, can Xane be a sweeper?" You bet his.
Yes.
You bet. That's what I'm gonna get him for. Guys, if you have been upset at this game for power creeping all your heroes, Xane is your answer. He is your easiest way to keep up with the insane stat increases that have been going on.
You still have to have the heroes that have those same increases, but
Sure.
you can have multiple. Like
You can
power
have
creep
multiple
units.
allies nearby.
Yeah, you can have multiple power creep units. Give them more power creep.
Yeah, you can like Frankenstein a unit essentially with Xane.
Pretty much.
Or you can go full budget with Corrin and basically have Corrin say, hey, here's my stats and an extra 6 just for being next to me.
Yeah. So
Yep.
quite a few options. That's why I think Zane's super interesting, and I think he's gonna be my next sweeper. He's replacing my Hot Spring Camilla. Xane is absolutely worth it.
And again, you don't need to pull more than 1, maybe 2 copies ever.
Yeah,
But
but again, more
copies
copies
decide.
is better because once again, okay, ideally you're looking for plus HP, so pulling more copies gives you a better chance at it, of course. But
Right.
more copies also gives you more defense and res, and he will be hit by AoEs. I do believe that. In which case, they will target his original AoE, and then once they enter combat, he'll get the defense and res of other heroes nearby.
Right. There are cases where you're gonna need those merges.
Yeah.
Also,
It's just
if
that
you
from
have a spare Loki, give that to him for arena purposes.
He's 166 BSD though.
yeah, technically if you go plus defense, but then you lose plus HP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then
No.
again, you're also losing literally your entire ace.
Yeah.
Fighting P, which you
Yeah.
could have gotten if you just be giving him 8 HP versus flexible ace slot.
Yeah,
I
honestly, I don't
the
think
ace
it's.
slot.
I don't think it's worth it. I don't think Xane is an arena hero. I know you can do it, but I don't.
It's not the in arena offense having a color mage on that prospect alone might not be a bad idea.
I know, but he doesn't score well enough, and with the BST jacking up, I'm afraid in a year 170 doesn't cut it. So
It won't.
wait a second, it doesn't cut it right now. It barely cuts it right now. That's right.
Yeah. So if you wanted to use him in arena, you can a little bit.
Yeah.
But you're probably gonna have to run something like a Ena to compensate for that lack of BST.
Which is what we should be moving on to, because I don't think there's anything more to say about Xane.
Correct.
Not really.
He's ultra interesting. Pull him, easy to get. Pull him. You will not regret it.
Absolutely.
Unless you're dumb.
I really want to know how the Phantom skills interact with Xane.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of weird interactions that I think is going to be interesting.
I will say if you're using your Xane and you're having Xane like run up 2 spaces and attacking something, and now he's out of range of all his allies, and you're like, why does Xane suck? It's on you.
That's on you.
Remember his skills. Or just remember his tome. That's it.
Yep.
And also,
Xane is
same
the
thing with
4-star focus,
Yeah.
Right. Which is
which
I can't
is
believe that one.
really wild thinking about it.
One of the coolest units ever released is free.
Yeah,
Relatively.
practically free. Within 80 orbs, you should be able to get at least 1, if not 2.
Yeah, that's what makes them so ridiculously insane.
Yep.
Nimius, I found the perfect meme that describes Xane.
No, I definitely.
Show it to the chat now,
that one's
please.
cut off.
Why are you
Well.
making me show this? What is this?
This is
Oh,
that- you mean our
oh my
stats?
god, no!
Oh, he would be able to use sudden panic pretty well.
He's practically Thanos.
He literally is just Thanos
He is
taking
Thanos.
everybody's stats to snap somebody else's unit out of existence.
Okay, well, you got it. That's fair. That's fair.
Pain is inevitable. You heard it here first.
Oh my god. Yeah, and of course his actual kit, Sudden Panic would be great. Close counter would I'm putting close counter on mine. I'm deciding between Lull or Vantage, but that's basically all you gotta decide is
No follow-up would be really good for him too.
right.
And that is in
Absolutely.
the manuals.
I'm considering, I'll wait a couple days, but I might get the Takumi Resplendent and then give him close counter. I'm actually thinking about that.
But this person's team is not viable. That's 4 heroes plus Xane. That's 5 that you can't run that team in general play.
Yeah, no, that would be a silly team. But
Yeah,
it
it's
technically
very
is the
silly,
highest of
but
every.
Yeah.
Technically, it's the highest of every stat.
Also, Marita's name is misspelled.
Maretta.
Moretta speed. I see.
Yeah. And this team is not Ether Raids viable as well, but it's a cute
Oh, the
meme.
voting gauntlet is over.
Oh, oh no.
Check that out later.
Oh no. I don't want to see it. Don't do it to me. No. No.
Thanos.
Thank you, Stro.
No. Hilda's your winner.
Wow, that actually came really close.
It did. I actually. Damn.
Aw.
I actually
Yeah.
kind of wanted Chris to win because that would have been like the most unknown hero to win.
Dang it.
Oh well.
Chris fades into obscurity once more, as
Once
it was
more.
meant to be.
Main
Yeah.
reason why I think that Chris lost is because of a lack of support last hour. It's the fact nobody has her.
Yeah. Literally nobody has her. That's the problem. All right.
Ugh.
That was a nice try. It was basically.
Spurn fodder! Away!
I think it was basically Simps and Hilda fans versus literally everybody else. Because there was
Yeah.
no reason to go for Hilda otherwise.
Pretty
Unless
much.
you had Hilda, then yeah.
Yeah, I had Hilda, I didn't have Chris. I joined Team Duma after Kiria lost, and then Duma lost because Hilda didn't overexert herself.
Man, that sounds so familiar, MadCrash. It's almost as if I did the same thing. It's so sad.
I thought you went to Hilda right after Kiria, though.
No, I went to Kiria, then Duma, then Hilda.
Oh, shit.
We're just saying we went
Yeah.
on the same boat.
Ouch.
We just lost
I like-
every except for the finale, but we lost
Except
everyone
for the
who
final round.
Yeah.
Jesus.
we lost to everyone. We lost everyone we wanted to win. All right.
I do want to just say,
Mhm.
Xane is the second highest stage play infantry after Bartra. I think of all infantries.
Refuel with Xane
And-
support.
You cut off a ton of times, but yes, second highest HP.
Of all free play infantries.
Yes.
Raphael would be pretty alright for speed res. And that's it.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, his 4-star skill is infantry hexblade. Surprisingly.
Yeah. Technically, you can fodder Xane, but honestly, I see this as a super useful. Xane, because of how his stats work, you would run him in any mode and he would make you happy. So,
Pretty much. I will definitely say that I'm thinking if I get 3 copies, I'll kill one for hexblade.
you know, the
But,
one thing we didn't
yeah.
talk about was like, what if you have like Mila within 2 spaces of Xane, and then you run Fortress Defense res and then Fortress like defense again? Like, can't he hit like 70 defense or something crazy?
Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of stupid.
And it's all in combat. So if you have a unit with higher attack nearby, he doesn't get these.
And
Wait a second,
then
no,
there's
actually,
also the
that
fact
doesn't work. You have to
Mila-
run you have to run like a stance.
Yeah.
Because the stats itself gets override. Okay, you have to run a
Oh, yeah.
stance, but you still can reach like 70 defense, 70 res or something crazy.
Yep.
And let's
colorless.
not forget that Mila's buff radius is absolutely stupid.
Right.
Yep.
Because there's an image that I've posted before. It basically shows Brave Celica being in the middle of the map, and Mila is tucked away in the corner.
Oh, yeah.
Celica is still getting those buffs
Yeah.
from
It's almost
three
impossible to avoid.
diagonals away.
Almost impossible to avoid, and literally impossible if you're in Xane's range. So, yeah. Lot of potential. Lot of easy hits,
All right.
if you have Mila.
Finally, Ena. It's only been like an hour and a half. We've made it to you, girl. Autumn Tactician Ena. I love her costume. It's the Chinese zombie. They put that thing on their heads, but oh my god, she is so cute. And big sleeves. That's actually a kink for some people. So big sleeves, super cute. Jingxi, yeah.
Jiangxi.
Jiangxi, yeah. Anyways, 44 HP, 36 attack, 23 speed, 37 defense, 36 res. She's like a mini Dheginsea, or
Yeah.
what's her name?
Attack side, obviously no, but otherwise, yeah.
Yeah,
For stat spread, yeah, it's definitely there.
she hasn't gotten so old that her legs no longer work, so she doesn't have 14
Like
speed.
you used to before.
But then
I mean,
she
even Yoon calls Dheginsea an old stubborn fossil.
She looks like that
Yeah.
one chick from Darkstalkers Cienko.
I haven't
Yeah, I
played
wouldn't-
Darkstalkers.
I haven't
So
had that context.
oh, she's just a tri member of his? Okay. I don't remember anymore. I kind of felt like they were related.
Dheginsea, who is his relative?
But
I know
isn't he
had-
like the Primarch dragon, like the original?
Oh, yeah, he is the. Yeah, he was literally there during the.
Like I thought, literally
Dheginsea
everyone.
was one of Ashera's chosen 3 warriors,
Yeah, dude's
alongside Altina and Son.
Isn't he the oldest dragon, or am I missing something?
oldest
He is the
living one.
oldest dragon in Teleus.
Okay,
Well, living.
Oldest living.
I thought it was just
No,
oldest period.
Yeah, no, dude's. I mean, there are other dragons that fought with him.
You know, that's why I'm so impressed by him, because despite how old he is, look at his posture. This man has the straightest posture of all time.
Look at that stash. Still looks nice and healthy.
Yeah, and his hair. It's
Oh,
all
yeah.
fallen out because he's the oldest guy ever.
Spotless.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah. If
But,
we
yeah.
want to go into spoilers about who's related to Dheginsea,
Oh, that's all right.
Uh,
I-
Oh, right. That's right. Nope, not going into that spoiler.
Oh, okay. Anyways, the stat spread is kind of expected. Defense and res is actually pretty high. I mean, they're really even, but they're actually really high as a whole.
For a free-to-play unit, that's pretty damn good.
Yep, attack is not bad, not great, but not bad. And speed is very mediocre, but, you know, that's what you got to sacrifice. And her total BST total is, what, 176?
So, Ena, 176 BST, free-to-play Red Dragon Infantry as a Tempest unit, Speed Super Boon.
Speed, okay, don't do that. Don't, please, no, there's no point.
it's the only way she reaches the 180 bin if you're trying to use her for arena, though. So.
Oh,
Correct, Mungo.
oh,
Actually,
crap.
This is the one thing that you have to note with Ena. Want
No.
to use her in arena like Flame?
No!
You have to mango her for speed.
No, why would you do that, IS? What is wrong with you? You were the chosen one. You finally made the right decisions. You gave us Xane. And then you remind us how you are truly evil.
You're supposed to bring balance to the stats, not leave us in speed.
God damn it, Legion.
That's good. All right. Yeah, I'm pretty upset. Like, I went from big Ena fan, like, you know, Flame Emperor in terms of like maximum scoring, but if you gotta go plus speed, she's gonna start getting disappointing. Because if you go plus defense or plus res, now she becomes a perfect counterpart to like Flame Emperor, right? One can take like all defense battles, one can take all res battles, and obviously, and then there's color advantage battles.
I mean, if you actually get into the semantics of that, plus 10 Brave Edelgard is 20 speed for base. Ena would have 27 unmerged. She'd have a much better time dealing with speed with Edelgards, even with buffs.
Yeah, but it'd just be one matchup, but then, yeah, Edelgards are everywhere nowadays. But Edel doesn't...
Yeah.
Wait, we're talking Brave Edelgard, right?
Yeah, Brave Edelgard.
Okay, Legendary Edelgard's still going to be annoying.
Legendary Edelgard, both of them can still double unless you have, like, no follow-up.
Yeah.
Which you could do. You could actually, if you really want to, run Dragon's Ire on Ena.
As long as
Assuming.
it's inheritable to infantry dragons as well, don't see why it wouldn't be.
Which I haven't heard anything on the contrary, so...
Yeah.
I can't do it, though. For me, she practically is a 175 BST hero because she doesn't reach 180 in my eyes. I know
I'm
going
not
plus
gonna
speed...
mango her personally, that's my thing.
Oh, okay, well, I'll at least build
From
the
my
free
point
version.
of view, the stats are evil.
The stats are
Tap it.
evil. Yep. Oh, I just really wish they didn't do that. If they gave us anything more, like plus defense, plus res, plus HP even, plus attack, like I would have been happy.
I'm not against the speed. I think that in the arena meta, it's fine. But you would be right in that it's a little painful.
It's painful because, honestly, aside from Edelgard, I don't really know who this is for.
Even
Like,
without the speed super boon to hit 180, she still scores better than G dual infantry Nino Kappa.
no, I'm not doubting that. She scores extremely well, and as we pointed out earlier in the stream, she scores as well as Flame Emperor. So, if you do go plus speed. So yeah.
So you have to note, it's expensive as hell to
Yeah.
invest in her that way.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you have to not only put in the fodder for rally for her A slot and her C slot to max score, but you also have to give her 100 mangoes, which we only get like 100 once every 2 months
Yeah.
in order to get her to that point.
Yeah, that's
and
also the
on
reason.
top of that, maxing her out costs 2,700 grails instead of the 1,350 for a GHB.
Wait,
and
what's
on
this
top of
1350?
all of
Oh,
that,
the rerun. Okay.
yeah, no rerun here. And on top of all of that, this is just the first infantry melee of this generation. Anyone after this could have the same BST bin, if not better, because they might have one more BST and be even less costly. So
That's
you
why-
have to look at it from that perspective as well.
God damn it, stop being rational and shit, because she's super cute. A lot of people
I'm
would
gonna
like
plus
to make
one.
her to plus 10. A lot
I'm
of
gonna
people.
Her
plus
would.
one.
dragon
at least.
sprite is also impressively detailed.
Yeah, I just saw
if
it.
Dheginsea was any indicator.
I'll just show you guys right now. This is so goofy. This this does not even. I'll just show you guys. This does not feel real. Are you scared yet, Cat?
Ah,
This I cannot even believe this is real. That's what I'm
It's a very
saying.
similar dragon sprite to Dheginsea's, but pink with a funny hat.
I can't believe this is real. So-
I'm scared.
What I'm saying is, like, people would have loved plus 10 her, but because of the extra restrictions on her, it kind of makes it difficult. And it's not ideal. But if you do indeed choose to plus 10 her, I respect it. Like, her stats make a lot of sense outside plus speed part, but her stats make a lot of sense, and of course, she's super cute.
At the very least, very, very good mixed tank.
Yeah.
Like, I think undisputed mixed tank for free to play. And among the better ones, even in the 5-star pool.
Right. Right, we forgot to talk about her kit. What's her kit?
So her kit her 4-star skill is War Dragons. And her 5-star skill is Defense Link, Swap, and her Breath, which is just Carrot Cudgel. Attack Def +5 within 2 space of an ally, and neutralize units' penalties to attack defense during combat. If all that's met. If all that condition is met.
Okay. Yeah, it's not her kit's nothing crazy. You just keep her breath and go from there.
Yeah. That already puts her up to 42 defense, 48 with Link, 52 if you decide to go with Def Refine with 49 HP. And for reference, at her first merge, she will get 2 HP, 2 attack, and 1 res.
Okay.
So she'll have 38 attack plus 1, or 52 with her weapon, 57 with it active. Not bad.
Not bad. Ugh, but this is what annoys me.
She's actually
so
really
close.
good. It's just that not reaching 177 BST is getting in the way of her being significantly more viable.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Easily the biggest inhibitor here, by far.
Oh man, that's upsetting. All right, but yeah, if you had to build her, it'd be pretty easy. She would love Fortress Defense Res because her defense and res are really high. She would love any stance skill basically.
Distant counter even.
Just to counter even. Assuming the new Dragon B skill works, she'll love that as well. Of course, QR would work. Of course, LOLs would work. LOLs with
Unless
QR
you
seal.
give her Dheginsea's breath.
Yes, you kill her Primarch. Her yeah, it's Primarch. Her matriarch. No,
What?
that doesn't even make
Wrong
sense.
on multiple levels.
It was a woman all along. No, I'm not gonna talk about that. But yeah, you got several options. Just build her defensively. She'll make great use. She'll be great.
At the
But-
very least, she'll make a great chill set.
Yeah. Probably the
Minimum.
cheapest build possible is just like Steady Stance 3 QR or something like that.
Or Sturdy Stance 2 if you feel like a little...
Yeah.
She doesn't come with an
Today
ace slot.
I feel like wanting to make an old man cry. Compare her to Garen.
Oh, I
Compare her
want-
to Garen. To be fair, they're both red infantry dragons, and they're the two newest ones.
For free to play?
Aaron is not.
Bontu
really
is actually
new.
newer.
Oh yeah, Bontu.
I will bring up Bontu as well. I actually have
And I completely forgot Bontu. By the way, I was excited about Bontu when he first came out, and now every time I summon him, he just creeps me out.
you know, kidding.
No.
Neutral art
I
kinda
actually
bugged me out.
have Garen's stats pulled up.
As do I.
All right. So Garen has 1 less HP, 3 less attack, 1 less speed, 4 less defense, and 4 less res, with 13 less BST in total.
Ouch. Well, on the bright side, Garen is a book 2 unit, so his refine could come within a year.
Within a year, great. I'm still waiting for Zero, by the way.
6 months left until Azura literally has no choice.
6 months
Yes.
ago, we said within 6 months.
I mean, we're actually at the point where there's only 6 months until book 1 is done.
Okay, Legion, stop hurting me. I can't take it anymore.
If it doesn't happen then, it will never happen.
Okay, you're really hurting me now.
Okay, let's be a little less patient. I'll
You cut
bring in
off.
Bantu.
Okay, Bontu.
So Bantu came out last year, but is a generation behind. So he has, what's this now? 9 less BST. No.
8 less BST.
8 less BST. Bantu has 1 more HP, 2 less attack, 5 more speed. Do 2 less defense, and 10 less res.
That's great.
It's worth noting he has a super boon and res. And that's it. To fix that.
Alright, well. Not much competition, honestly, so.
I mean, if we want to get into the top of it, let's bring in the best mixed tank we have prior. Sheena. Sheena, who is from launch, has 7 less BST. Sheena has 1 more HP, 6 less attack, 2 more speed, 1 less defense, and 3 less res.
Wow. But honestly, I'd probably take Sheena.
Mostly for Crimson Axe.
Yeah.
But Sheena is, at this point, not as good a mixed tank as Ena. She
Mhm.
is overall better as a mixed tank.
Right.
The closest otherwise that I could think of is Mustafa, who is much newer. Mustafa only has 4 less BST coming out last year. He has 1 more HP, 2 more attack, 2 more speed, 1 less defense, and 8 less res.
It was sounding good until then. Until the last one.
Ouch.
Yep.
Yeah.
Better until, yeah, I mean, Mustafa has Barrier Axe, but that res is crushing.
Mm-hmm.
So at the very least, if you're looking for a mixed tank, you're probably best off doing Ena.
Okay, fair enough. It's still upsetting, guys, to me, just because I wished. Like, this, she was legitimately, I was legitimately considering making a plus 10 Ena,
As was I.
but now that you need mangoes and you gotta make her plus speed, I'll wait for another red hero. But, jeez, she's so cute, it would've been perfect.
Well, let's put it this way: the winter banner is coming up in, and almost no matter what, the units at least can have 175 BST, if not up to 185.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, it's better if you wait, I would say, but I can't blame you if you guys go for her. Her stats make sense. She looks good. She's interesting. It's the only issue. Just the plus speed. Okay, but that's it.
Just a good +1 merge is what I'm gonna. I think that she's at least worth using.
All right, to sum it up, I think, man, this was a really good banner. To be honest, I liked every hero. There was no hero I did not like, or I didn't really have an issue of any hero except for Ena. Everyone else actually makes so much sense to me. Of course,
even Ada makes sense outside of that score.
yeah, outside of the scoring, she makes. But yeah, with all that said, though, the guy who takes the spotlight, and it's not even fair, is Xane. It was not even close, to be honest. And there's nothing against other heroes; they're amazing. But Zane's the ability to like ward off power creep, be a sweeper, do anything so long as you have a team focused around him makes him one of the most interesting and most fun heroes, and he provides you so much. He's also colorless infantry, so as few weaknesses as possible.
Yep. No, he's just outright one of the most interesting heroes ever introduced, and at the very least, a very wonderful free-to-play asset that can't really be understated, with good fodder even. So for those who care for that,
Yep.
he's just overall the spotlight of the banner.
Yep. I would absolutely recommend everyone find 80 orbs to pull for Xane. Try and pull 1, try and pull 2. You will not regret it. Unless you're dumb. As in you don't know how to use him, then you will regret it. But as long as you know how to use him, as long as you give him the right heroes, Xane can just clear and beat anything.
I mean, at the very least, he's a very easy unit to build up because he's going to be using his dancer's support stats at the gate.
You know, Xane, I think Xane would clear any GHP in the future, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, he's about as future-proof as it gets. Raven Tomes might be a problem, or, when he gets separated, that's it.
Yep. Does Xane even need boons? Not really. He just wants plus HP. That's it. That's the only
HP is the best thing.
Yeah, that's the only thing he doesn't take.
Or defense if you're going for score. Whatever.
Yeah, I guess, but yeah, score doesn't really matter. Alright, but yeah, outside of Xane though, I think Tiki's amazing. I think Grima's amazing. I think Dheginsea is really tanky. Absurdly tanky. We thought he was going to be a mythic. But to be honest, if he became a mythic, he'd be too similar to Mila. Kind of.
I think he's going to still be a mythic in the future.
Okay, fair enough. We were expecting him to be a mythic for a long time. Yeah. Robin's super cute, which by the way, her weapon, Moonless Breath? What? She's clearly a werewolf, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense then.
Doesn't
Okay.
get to fully transform, I guess. Ironically.
To be honest, all Xane needs is in this banner. A whole Halloween team makes him great.
Yeah, that's true, because if you get Tiki speed, you get Dheginsea's a defense and...
Everything.
Actually, yeah.
And says everything else.
It's not the whole banner, it's just Xane and Tiki and Dheginsea, then you're done.
Yeah, you run those 3 together and... Busted unit. That's it.
Yeah. Alright, but that's that. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like. Let's try to get to 100 likes. Subscribe and follow if you really want to support me. But that was the banner review. It was an hour and 40 minutes. These are twice as long as they used to be. But it's not our fault. There's so much to talk about nowadays because they're not like skip. Like there aren't heroes that we could just say 5 things about and be done with anymore.
They've been really pushing it out, even with the free-to-play stuff. Pretty impressive.
Yeah.
For the most part. Right. They've been really good.
Oh.
So, very happy about that. Just takes the breath out of my lungs.
Yep.
Yeah. Xane is going to be one of those units that, well, we